Look, I want to get back to Grace Tame, the one-time Australian of the Year who disgraced herself with this remark at a rally in Sydney on Monday night. Here's a reminder.
From Gadigal to Gaza, globalise the intifada. One more time. From Gadigal to Gaza, globalise the intifada.
Yeah, Gadigal is the Aboriginal word for the Sydney area, so there can be no doubt about what this means. This is encouraging violence against Israel and Jews in Australia and right around the world. And all while Israel's president is a guest in our country. In fact, this is a call directly targeting his visit. The two intifadas against Israel in the 1990s and 2000s saw more than 1,000 innocent people killed in Israel by suicide bombers and other attacks. Young kids, women and children, even Australians were killed by terrorists. And the Bondi massacre is another example of what it might mean to globalise the intifada. Here's Liberal frontbencher and Australian Jew Julian Leeser.
I don't care whether you're a high-profile Australian or you're just an ordinary Australian. No one should be calling for the violent murder of Jews on our streets. I'm sick and tired of this, and I think she and others should face the full force of the law.
He's not wrong, but what are the chances of that law being enforced or enacted? They've got to be pretty slim, I think. Let's get a view from Israel, and I'm pleased to be joined again by Sharren Haskel, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel. Thanks for joining us again, Sharren. I'm sorry that you are hearing these calls from Australian streets, even from prominent Australians. How are they being received in Israel?
Wow, it's actually heartbreaking to see that while our president is coming, and the purpose of the visit is to come and comfort, to come and stand in solidarity with the Jewish community in Australia after a terrible massacre, an anti-Semitic terrorist attack that was targeting the Jewish community. And, you know, this is what it means to globalize the intifada. It means to bring and import the problems of the Middle East into Sydney. And the result of that is the Bondi massacre. And when she stands up there and calls to globalize the intifada from Gaza to Sydney, to Australia, while he visits, I mean, try and think, not even on our emotion, but the Jewish community. I mean, you know, they've been broken to pieces after this horrific terrorist attack. They're still collecting the pieces together. They're heartbroken. And, you know, they requested the president of Israel to come, to pay solidarity, to come and listen to their heart and to their struggle. And during that time, she stand up to call for another violence, another massacre, another terrorist attack, not in Israel, but in Sydney. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. And I think that every decent Australian should stand against that.
I would suggest, I would just add in there, Deputy Foreign Minister, that she would argue she's not calling for terrorism. I want to make that very clear. But as you are saying, and as I've pointed out, intifada is that violent uprising against Israel. It does result in that, and she needs to she and her other supporters need to understand that. Now, I just want to check in with you. You would be aware of all the diplomatic negotiations behind the visit of Isaac Herzog to Australia and the way it's played out. I've praised our Prime Minister for at least extending a very serious diplomatic welcome to the president. He flew up to Sydney and visited a synagogue with him. He had him to dinner at the official residence in Sydney, flew the president down to Canberra, joined him at Government House, joined him at Parliament House. All those diplomatic niceties have been good to see. But our Prime Minister has not condemned Grace Tame's call, and he has not shifted on any of his positions on Israel. Your assessment of the visit through that lens?
So I'll say first that his purpose of visit is to come and comfort and stand in solidarity with the Jewish community. And as his role, in Israel, he's has the role to come and unite the people of Israel, to talk and to push through social projects and social activity and activist and to see how he can create a better fabric or a more stronger Israeli fabric from what we've had. And that symbolic visit is a symbolic visit for the Jewish community. We still have many challenges with the Australian government. And I think that the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, have said that before. You know, the problems with the rhetoric of the Australian government of accepting a lot of Hamas's propaganda and a lot of the propaganda that's been fabricated against Israel is part of what had created some of a legitimacy to different acts who were committed against the Jewish community. You know, the fact is that we would want to see a change in rhetoric. We would want to see an action against racism towards the Jewish community of Australia. There's many steps that needs to happen in order to even start, different constructive steps to try and bring some relationship back into its course, because it's been damaged and it's been damaged greatly.
Yep.
And I just, Chris, if I can say one more word about Grace Tame, because I personally, as a woman serving in politics, after what we've seen on the 7th of October, the sexual violence that was used as a tool of war on the 7th of October, if you stand against violence against women, it shouldn't be dependent on your race or your religion or your ethnicity. It should be unanimously. It should be a global thing. And when she calls to globalize the intifada, what intifada does she mean? The first one, the second one, the 7th of October? Words have meaning, true meanings. Words call for actions. And if you can stand in support of what had happened on the 7th of October and to call for that to come to Sydney, the sexual violence that was used as a tool of war, the mutilation, the rape of little girls, the torture and the sexual abuse of hostages that were in captivity, it is absolutely outrageous.
It's just unspeakable. Thanks so much for joining us, Sharren. I appreciate it. The Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel there, Sharren Haskel, passionate about this, as well she should be. And as you heard there, despite the diplomatic niceties demonstrated by the Prime Minister towards the President of Israel, when it comes to the actual substance of the relationship, sadly nothing has changed as yet.